Ready.
Ready.
So I want to just do a quick talk about the political situation that we've got at the moment. And the reason why is because I've become increasingly frustrated by everything that I'm watching in the news to connect it to this Brexit. So I'm just going to sort of lay out kind of a summary of how I see it. Because very shortly we are going to have an election in this country. That is now inevitable. We're going to have another election in this country. And basically what we've got is a very complicated situation, and it's very easy to just come out with a basic comment, a platitude that kind of captures what is actually a very complicated set of affairs. I mean, it is undeniable that there is a mandate to leave the EU that was given at the referendum. But that mandate doesn't necessitate the idea of a Brexit without a deal. Because the question that was put to us was, do you want to leave the EU, yes or no? Most people said yes, but it doesn't naturally transfer that means without a deal. Now, that isn't to say that there aren't lots of people, myself included, who would be very happy to leave without a deal. But that doesn't mean that is mandated in the referendum. The referendum was a terrible referendum in hindsight. It was a binary choice to a much more complicated issue. And I think what should have originally happened, and I've said this before, is that there should have been an immediate election after the referendum in which all the parties laid out their position about how they choose to leave the EU. And then everyone could vote for their kind of Brexit. But that didn't happen, and we're not in that place now. Though I think that's what is going to happen at the next election. Equally so, those groups, the Remoaners, the let's stay in the EU at all cost brigade, unless they win outright an election like the Liberal Democrats are hoping to, would have no democratic mandate at all to repose the question to us about whether we leave the EU. There's just no reason for that. That's essentially saying, we didn't like your answer the first time, so now we're going to make you pick again. No, the answer was given, and the answer was given to leave. So if there is another referendum, the referendum should be, how do you want to leave? With a deal or without a deal? With this deal or with another deal, or without a deal completely? But what can't happen is that on the referendum vote is one that says leave with a deal, leave without a deal, or remain. That's a trick. They are trying to split the Brexit vote so that they would win a referendum for remain. Don't be fooled, that is a trap. The only kind of referendum that would be legitimate is one that says how do you want to leave, with no option to remain at all. You can't ask for us to rethink until you've implemented the first decision. Once we've implemented the decision, whatever that is, with a deal or without a deal, and then we've had an experience of it, then we can rethink if we want to. So that's some of my thoughts about the sort of general situation. But as we can see, our Parliament is now Murray-bound, our judges are now politicised, and they are using their own political persuasion to make decisions for the Parliament. And the Parliament is sovereign, not the courts. So I think there needs to be some kind of reform of the High Court that will enshrine the rules, the customs and the traditions of the Parliament. Or we just codify all of those customs and traditions so that we've got a form of a written constitution. Now an election is coming, and we've got at least two clear positions. The Liberal Democrats are Remain. So if you're a Remainer and you're watching this, you need to vote for the Liberal Democrats. The Conservative Party is the Leave Party. And if you really want to leave, and they are the Leave Party without a deal or no deal, then vote for the Conservatives. I think you're going to waste your vote if you vote for the Brexit Party. You'll split the Remain, the Brexit side of things. I think, ironically, despite the fact that I wouldn't, I haven't got time for Jeremy Corbyn, I think Labour is at least trying to be sensible in the sense of they are trying to find the balance between the split that happened in the referendum. So they're going for the middle path, which no one likes in these kinds of situations. But Jeremy Corbyn himself, I mean, the thought of him being Prime Minister is horrific. So an election is going to have to come because our Parliament can't solve this problem. If they do call for another referendum, you must protest vehemently that that referendum is not one that is written in such a way as to split the Brexit vote in favour of a Remain vote. And you should protest whether there should even be a Remain option on the ballot paper. It should be, what kind of Brexit do you want? But in an election, which I think is coming, there is an opportunity for Christians to galvanise themselves into a political force in this country, and we must. That political force has the umbrella title of Christian People's Alliance. Now, they are a small and tiny party, but they are a small and tiny party precisely because lots of Christians don't know about them and lots of Christians won't get involved in them. And they do it because of the myth that, well, if I get involved in a tiny party, my vote is wasted. But I want to explain why that is a myth and why that doesn't work, and why actually as Christians we should be involved in a Christian political party. Reason one is that the church is a body of people. And as a group of people, as a people group, we have our own interests, we have our own concerns, and we have our own needs. And they need to be addressed. We need to have a voice that speaks up for our concerns as Christians. Now, immediately, some Christians will go, yes, but Bob, the church is about establishing the kingdom, and the kingdom has certain needs and certain agendas itself, and that is correct. But the church, if it doesn't have its own needs and its own agendas addressed, will not be in a strong position to establish the kingdom. The church is distinct from the kingdom in that the kingdom and its values and its agenda and its interests are bigger than the church. But unless the church is in a strong place, it cannot establish that kingdom. And so the church should, as well as being concerned with the establishment of the kingdom, should be concerned with defending its own interests, its own community, and its own agenda, because that leaves it in the best position to establish the kingdom. Number two, the way that our political system works is a first-past-the-post system, which means that power is constantly being maintained in the hands of the ruling elites. However, those ruling elites manage to win elections through forming alliances based upon adopting the interests of other groups, or as many collective groups as possible. So what that means, therefore, is that when a major political party sees that there's a coalescence of people around a particular agenda, they come in and they steal aspects of that agenda to make those people vote for them in a party, in an election. I'll give you two examples. The Green Party is a minority party, but its agenda has been adopted by every other major political party because the major political parties recognise that there are enough people concerned about it for them to win votes by taking it on board. Two, the BNP was a terribly horrible minority party, but enough people were concerned about questions of immigration that the other parties, both Labour and Conservative, started to talk about it. Three, a third example, UKIP. UKIP was a minority party whose sole agenda was to have a referendum about the EU. Enough people were coalescing around that party that eventually the other major parties, particularly the Conservatives, took that issue on board. Then what that would result in is the other major parties looking and thinking to themselves, well, if we steal a couple of the aspects of their agenda and put it into our manifesto, these Christians might vote for us. And that is how you start to influence our political system. And Christians, we have got to get out of this mindset that says that being political is somehow unchristian. Being Christian is innately political, and we Christians need to organize ourselves politically. There are real concerns as Christians that we have to fight for. And the first and the most important of those is the persecution of our brothers and sisters in other countries. And until we start to have a political ideology, a political narrative that is concerned with the defense of the Christian community, we will continue to see our people persecuted abroad, marginalized at home, and discriminated against. We will continue to see pressures put upon Christians to abandon their faith because of politics, like not keeping the Sabbath, like not, accepting the redefinition of marriage that then influences how our adoption agencies work. These things affect how we establish the kingdom of God on earth. They are important, and it's important for you as a Christian to be involved in politics. There is a Christian political party that you can be involved in. It's called the Christian People's Alliance, and they need intelligent professionals to get involved. And to those Christians in the Christian People's Alliance, I implore you, I beg you, do not become dogmatic or denominational or a confessional party. Be a party that is open to all committed Christians who are committed to Christian values, Christian beliefs, and the defense of the Christian community. There's other Christian organizations that are involved in politics that you can be involved in, like the Christian Concern for Our Nation, just one example, the Barnabas Fund. But unless our community starts to find its muscle, unless our community starts to engage robustly with the real issues, the real questions that our community faces, then we're going to continue to be outmaneuvered, to be sidestepped, to be hit by curveballs. Our leaders are essentially non-leaders. Don't look to the bishops for leadership. This has got to come from the laity, because our bishops are essentially useless. Most of our pastors are essentially useless. Most of our elders are essentially clueless. Christians, we've got to find better leadership. We've got to hope for better leadership. We've got to have some of these heretical bishops removed from their offices and replaced by orthodox believing Christians. The fact of the matter is, as Christians, if we are not engaged in our own institutions, in keeping our own institutions Christian, and that means working for them, and sometimes, and more often than not, that means working sacrificially for lower pay, those institutions will secularize. And that's exactly what's happened in the Church of England. It is secularized, and it is secularized along liberal rounds because non-Christians, church-goers as opposed to believing disciples, entered into the priesthood, and they have taken the Christian heart out of the church. And that's also happened in the Catholic Church as well. What we need now are committed disciples once again to take up the banner of Christ and to fight valiantly under it against sin, the world, and the devil.
Last question for you.
Go on.
When are you coming back to the park?
So let me just deal with that. I'm taking a break from the park, and maybe JC will split this into a different talk. At the moment, a lot of you guys notice that I'm not at the park, and the reason for that is because I did it intensely for 2.5 years. And what you do is you end up preparing between Sundays to prepare for the Sunday to come. And it uses up a lot of time, and I was given a lot of time to Soco films, and that meant that my life was out of balance, and I needed to take a step back to address some things in me. And part of that was my own personal sin. I confess that to you, my brothers and sisters. And I needed to take a step back because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to be someone who gains the whole world and loses his own soul in the process. I want to be someone that is honest and deals with my own issues. So I needed to get my life in a better balance, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. And then when my life is in a better balance, because I've been in London for 2.5 years and essentially made no meaningful relationships of any kind. Once I've got that in balance, I will be coming back to the park. But I will be tapping into the park on a monthly basis. I'm not gone forever. And as you can see, I've not been lazy. You know, we've got this evangelistic outreach going, and that's something that we'll continue to do, and I'll be doing other things as well. So
if anybody would like to join the evangelistic outreach that you are doing,
yeah, if you want to come and you want to get involved,
yes,
with the evangelistic outreach that we're doing, then you are invited to come and see us. We'll be doing it the last Saturday of every month.
Last Saturday every month.
The last Saturday of every month, obviously weather permitting. So if it's the last Saturday of every month and it's pouring down with rain, we're obviously not going to be doing it. But on a day like today, where it's not exactly beautiful, but you can stand outside in the rain, then obviously we'll be doing it. So yeah, if you want to come, just find us at Leicester Square. We'll have a talk, and then we'll take it from there. So
how do the Soco family reach you? Is it on the same email?
Yep.
So everything is
Sure.
hasn't changed.
Yeah, if you want to get in touch with me, you can connect with me through btbsoco@gmail.com. You can drop me an email, and you can use that same email address to contact me through Google Hangouts, and that we can then talk. Christians, especially those Christians who are watching me on Soco, don't make me into a hero, because I'm not. And also, why should I be a hero? Why should I be some kind of champion? The fact of the matter is the church should be full of Christians who are practicing a muscular Christian faith. I shouldn't be something unusual. The church should be full of people who are able to stand up for their faith and are willing to engage the culture in public. So, you know, this is something that everyone should be doing, not just me. I shouldn't be unusual, you know, and it worries me that some of you think that I am, because that tells me that you aren't meeting people like me, but the church should be full of people like me, because being a disciple of Christ means being more than a conqueror. I just want to say thank you to people who have donated to me via PayPal.
Give a shout out to them.
So I'm going to give a shout out. Now, some people have expressly said that they don't want me to mention their name, so I am not going to mention certain people. So there's one sister, HT. I'm just going to say thank you for your donation. I'm going to say Brother Nordin, thank you for your donation. Brother Thomas, thank you. Brother Vincent, thank you. Soco Films, thank you for your donation. Brother James, thank you for your donation. Brother Rico, thank you for your donation. Brother Dean, thank you for your donation. Sister Sandy, thank you for your donation. Brother Philip, thank you for your donation. Brother David, thank you for your donation. Thank you for your 2 donations. Brother Demetrius, thank you for your donation. Brother David again. Brother Larry, thank you. Soco Films, once more, thank you. Brother Rico, thank you. Brother Jason, thank you very much. Brother Larry, thank you. I'm not going to name this organisation, but there is a company that donated. I just want to say thank you to LP organisation for your donation. Brother Ruiko again. Brother Anna, Sister Anna, thank you for your donation. Brother Larry again. Brother Churchill. Brother Danny. Brother James. Brother Joe. Or even Sister Joe, because obviously Joe is one of those names that can be from a boy or a girl. So, Brother Donald, Brother Jamie and James, Brother Roman, Sister Sandy, Brother Joe, Brother Dimitri, and Brother Desmond. I want to thank you all for your donations and for your support. most of your donations basically went on everyday stuff, sometimes on books, helped to pay the bills basically. Can't say anything particularly amazing, but I just want to thank you for your support. Keep praying for me. You know, I'm not perfect. Pray for my soul and for my salvation. Pray that I become worthy of Christ and a good disciple of His. I want to say, family, that, you know, unless we own our own cause, unless we own our own struggle, unless we own our own lives, nothing will happen. No one's going to fight for us. We got to do this ourselves. So thank you again for all your support. Keep me in your prayers as I keep you and all of you that have asked me to pray for you in mind.